Good afternoon, everyone. Hope you all are doing fantastic. Let's take a look and see what is going on with Bitcoin for the day. All right, so basically getting compression candles. We did close a compression doji. We did get that swing low formation. There is a potential on the daily that we could get the follow through to the upside. We kind of spiked through 63,300, found it as a strong area of resistance, at least for the time being. Again, I told you guys that's going to be an area that is going to be tough for us to get above. So that could be our high for the day. Especially we're going to be closing our candle in about 3 hours. So definitely, keep that in mind that could potentially be the high. Not 100% sure if that's going to be the case, but it is possible that is our high for the day. The only unfortunate thing, guys, with this is that there's a extremely good chance now that we're going to close our weekly candle below the 200 MA. So definitely not the best sign that we want to see. It could give us an ability to basically reach down into the 60,000 area once again, because there is a lot of liquidity down here. I don't know if diving into this order block right here is enough liquidity for us to get that move back to the upside. It's going to be very interesting to see. Okay. Now, that being said, I do know that there's a lot of liquidity up here, 64,000 area, 65,000 area, even getting up to 67.5. It's just, as far as from a timing perspective, I don't know if it's going to be time for us yet to run up there. Again, first week of August, we pumped. We're getting more of an expansion to the downside for the second week of August. We'll see what the third week of August has to offer. But it's just it's not looking great. Okay. So definitely, there's bearishness in the air for sure. We can't ignore it. The only thing that is a saving grace for us is technically, we are in a discount, like we're in the low 60,000s. This is obviously a really decent head and shoulders that could definitely play out, but there's a potential that we are in an accumulation range and we can, get the pump to the upside. I like to go against the crowd. I like to go against what people are thinking. I know a lot of people are thinking right now that this is some sort of head and shoulders pattern, right? It's kind of obvious, a lot of bearish sentiment in the air, and it very well could be. Retail could definitely get their win with this. But I'm just open-minded, right? I'm open-minded that there is a potential that we could get that move to the upside, and even knocking out some of this higher liquidity up here. So it is very difficult to say where price is going to go for right now. August is very boring for the most part, usually. And as you can see here, we're kind of ranging within a $2,000 range for the most part. So it's not really, anything spectacular. we kind of built out a shoulder here, if this is a head and shoulders, from the beginning of August until now. So it stayed basically within, like I said, a little bit over $2,000. I would say, it's about, even got up to about 3,000-ish within the range, but candle bodies themselves are within a $2,000 range for the most part. All right, so taking a look at the 10-hour, you could say that this is a bear flag. I see it as a potential move to the upside, especially because, on the 10-hour, for example, we had the opportunity to get that wick to the downside. It didn't. 3 hours and 44 minutes left to close, so there's a potential that we get a move up. The only thing is you're getting a death cross here on the 10-hour, so not a great sign for the bulls. Getting a death cross here as well on the 8-hour. The 12-hour, you obviously haven't even gotten close to the 200 MA yet, but you are getting your moving averages tight. So not the 200, but you're getting all of your other moving averages tight, so that could definitely be a good sign. The 6-hour, we lost the 200 MA, we got the death cross. However, you can see that we have that 21 kind of curving. We don't want to see the 50 obviously get that death cross on the 6-hour, but there's a potential that we could get the recovery. Like I said, never leave that out of your mind. As far as the 4-hour goes, you're getting back above the 21, kind of used it as resistance for the last candle, so that wasn't great. We just started a new candle, so we could definitely get a dump still. Especially because we're going to be beginning the next week as well. It's just, gosh, that double top is looking really juicy. This double top is looking really juicy. I don't see how we don't eventually, sooner rather than later, come out and kind of wipe some of these out at least. Especially because we're not so far away from them. So I'm going to be basically for right now targeting probably this double top right here at 63,940. You know, hopefully sooner rather than later. That's going to be your weekly 200 MA as well. So we could be using that potentially pretty soon as a resistance point. You know, it's going to be crucial to see how this next week opens. If we do get a dump first, we do have a chance of having more of a bullish week. You know, if obviously we get a pump first, it's not going to look the best for the bullish scenario, right? Taking a look at the 1 hour, you are staying above the 21 MA, so that is a very good sign. As long as we can consolidate here, get the 200 to come into price action, that's going to be a really positive thing for the bulls. So definitely keep that in mind. You know, you want to see the moving averages get tight, the 200 coming back into play. That's all going to be important. The 30-minute, you're staying above the 21 as well. You know, 21 is curving up. 50 will start curving up. So possibly getting a golden cross on the 200. You're keeping the 15-minute 200 MA, so that's a really good sign. As far as retracements go, you know, the only thing I could possibly see is if we were to take a 786 from here, bring it up to here. You could be looking about taking out this wick right here. I don't know if this was our 786 retracement, but there's a possibility we drop down into 62,750-ish area, wiping out this wick and then getting our move to the upside if it wanted to. And that could also be a potential tail for next week's candle as well. All right. 5-minute, barely keeping that 200 MA. I'm not putting a lot of weight into these smaller time frames right now because of how low volume it is. I would say for right now, guys, focus more on your hourly and above, you know, your 4 hour, your 6 hour, et cetera, et cetera. They're going to be the telltale signs of the bigger move, at least for right now, if we are going to get one. All right, as far as levels go, I talked to you guys about 63,940. I'm going to be targeting to the downside. You know, 62,750-ish is going to be kind of your first target for a bearish 786 retracement. Or actually, that would technically be bullish because we would bounce from there if that were the case. But we could potentially be hitting 62,414 and 62,109. Those are still going to be levels to watch for right now if we wanted or we got that move to the downside. All right, let's take a look at liquidity, see where we're at with that. Let's see. So taking a look at our 4 hour here. Once again, I mean, you know, you got to assume that eventually we're going to take out some of this red liquidity. It's almost all turned red now. So your bottom would be around 60,600 if it wanted to eat through all of this. To the upside, you know, you're going to be targeting 65,692, which is the bottom of this yellow area. So it's all going to depend on, you know, where price wants to go first, right? Let's dive into the 1 hour. So the 1 hour, taking a look here, I mean, you have this yellow area right here, which is around 62,740-ish, 760 at the very top of it. So definitely could get a bounce off of this yellow area, take out some of this, get a bounce off of 62,750, and then work your way up, possibly. I do want to see an aggressive bounce here, because if we don't get that, we can basically kind of just fall through. So, you know, if it does go to the downside, we need to see a bounce off of 62,750. Otherwise, it's going to get real ugly and just kind of fall through all this liquidity, at least to the point of 62,140. To the upside, though, if you're able to reclaim 63,351, you can basically start to just kind of plow through all of this up to about 64,542. So definitely a bullish and bearish case scenario here. It's going to be difficult to tell. Kind of a gamble for today for right now, in my opinion. You know, 15-minute looking the same exact way. I have the 100x checked off. 50x shows us that we can get down into 62.5 even potentially. So just keep that in mind, guys. I mean, it's just weekend trading always sucks for the most part. It's very rarely a good day to trade. You can see we have a little bit of liquidity up here at 63.4. So definitely if we get above the 63.351 that we tested earlier, you know, I want to see us consolidate above there and stay above it, right? And we'll use it as support. If we're able to use it as support, that's when you can start getting violent to the upside because there is enough liquidity to get us up there. So anyways, guys, that is what I have for you as far as liquidity goes. If you take a look at our order book through open market here, you can see that, you know, there is more orders, bigger orders to the upside than to the downside from where we're at. There's a potential we fall through, right? We can just kind of roll over, fall through, get into 62,275, 62,200, that type of thing, even further. But just know that, you know, there's a potential that we can get that push up to the upside, start taking out 63,750, 63,800, et cetera, et cetera. So, you know, there's a lot more orders to the upside, which is a good sign. You do have some to the downside, but, you know, proximity wise, it is closer to the upside, at least for right now. So you got to assume that we're going to move up first before we move down. It could be another bearish week if we do that. Who knows? But that is a potential, at least for, you know, tonight, possibly even, you know, as soon as Sunday Sunday weekly open, right? The midnight open for Monday as well. So, you know, just kind of expect that later on this evening for Asia session. There is a potential that we could get back up here during that time. Okay. All right, let's take a real quick look at the simple map, see where that's at here. Kind of identify some levels. All right, so let me kind of zoom in a little bit more here. All right, perfect. All right, so levels to watch to the downside. You know, your first area is going to be around 62,730. You lose that, you're going to look for 62,430 as support. You lose that, you look for about 62,190 as support. And then it starts getting uglier as you go through there. And then to the upside, for as far as resistance goes, you're going to be looking at 63,390 as your first area of resistance. You get past there, you get to about 63,720 as your next area of resistance, and you get past there, you get to about 63,930. And then from there, guys, you can just kind of roll through this liquidity all the way up to about 64,530. So definitely some areas of resistance to the upside, but there are some, you know, capabilities for us to just kind of roll up through the liquidity, right? Taking a look at your swing time frames probably will show the same exact levels around there. You know, to the downside, you're going to first look for 62,730 as a line of support. You lose that, you get to about 62, you know, 430, and then if you lose that, you go to about 62,190 before you could dive into the 61K-ish range. And then to the upside for resistance, once again, guys, 63,390 is going to be your first area of resistance. You get past there, you get to about 63,720. You get past there, you get to about 63,930, and then you can basically start talking into the 64.5-ish range. All right, guys, so that is what I have for you for today. As usual, if you guys want to use Trading Different and its tools, feel free to use my code Sean, tradingdifferent.com/code/Sean to get 10% off of your order and be able to identify where liquidity is located, as well as easily being able to determine bias on some of the smaller and the bigger time frames for Bitcoin and even other assets as well. All right, guys, that is what I have for you for today. I hope you all have a wonderful evening, and I will talk to you tomorrow morning. Take care.